Okay, so let's start with David Bowie. Really like David Bowie as a musician, as an actor, as just a creative soul, and as a person. I've seen quite a few interviews and several documentaries, and he seems to be like he was a really likable guy. And I feel pretty lucky that I got to see him in concert. Okay, so who was this guy? David Jones was his original name, and he was born in January 8th, 1947. And unfortunately, at the age of 69, he passed away from his cancer on January 10th, 2016. So that was 7 years ago. His creativity and talent established him as a leading figure in the music industry of 20th century as well as 21st century. And over the years, he reinvented himself numerous times, changing styles, appearances, had incredible collaborations with other musicians, was constantly trying new things, not only in music, but also in acting and fashion, video games, and even in finance world. And if I talk about every success and every turn of events in Bowie's life, this video is going to be several hours long. So I will cover just a few highlights as well as what I have in my music collection related to David Bowie. So David Bowie, he developed interest in music from a very early age. At 15, he formed his first band, the Conrads, but over the next few years he actually changed several bands and directions trying to find his own style. Uh, that was one of the reasons he actually decided to change his name, so that not to be confused with David Jones of the Monkees. And he took a name Bowie after a 19th century American pioneer James Bowie, and the knife that was named after him, Bowie knives. So, Space Oddity. It's a song that was released in July 1969, just actually a few days before the Apollo 11 launch that took the first man to the moon. So here I have a LP, a 7-inch US version that was released in 1976 on the RCA label. And it also, as you can see, it has a Man Who Sold the World on the B side of it. And here is a full album, Space Oddity, that was released in November 1969. But again, what I have here is a CD that was released on a Ryko label in 1990, and it includes a few bonus tracks on it from the original version. So a few years later, after this was released, his famous Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars shook the music world, and a new David Bowie was introduced to the world as an intergalactic glam rock star visiting a doomed planet Earth. We're still doomed, by the way. More chart-topping albums and singles followed, such as Gin Ginny and All the Young Dudes and Drive-In Saturday. Bowie continued to reinvent himself with increasing interest in funk and soul music that produced Young Americans and then Fame with John Lennon. He collaborated with Iggy Pop and Brian Eno, again looking for new styles and adventures. And in the late 70s, he got into acting as well as appearing in A Man Who Fell to Earth in 1976 and Just a Gigolo in 1978, and even a well-received performance as John Merrick in Elephant Man on Broadway stage. David Bowie, he then scored a #1 single with his 1981 partnership with Queen called Under Pressure. Funny thing is that when me and my wife heard the song on the radio for the first time without knowing anything about it, I immediately said that it was David Bowie, and my wife started arguing saying that it was Freddie Mercury. Well, only later on we found out that we both were right. And here I have Queen's Hot Spaces CD that features this Under Pressure song. Really great collaboration. I really huge fan of Freddie Mercury. I'll talk a little bit more about this CD later on when I'm gonna be reviewing all my Queen memorabilia. So David Bowie had another chart hit with Cat People, Putting Out the Fire in 1982 from a movie Cat People with Nastasia Kinski that I have right here. Really great movie. I watched it many times, and the song is amazing. If you get a chance to read the lyrics for it, go ahead. It's such a talented guy. Well, next commercial explosion for David Bowie was album Let's Dance, his 15th album released in 1983 with the singles Let's Dance, China Girl, and Modern Love that all became huge international hits. And then there were multiple follow-up concerts and tours. And David Bowie really took advantage of the MTV explosion by that time by creating very eye-catching videos. And speaking of the eye, I need to mention one of his most recognizable features is different color eyes after that was result after one of the school fight injuries when he was just 15, and it resulted in a permanently dilated pupil in his left eye. He was not born with that. So, and here going from Cat People to Labyrinth, another one of my favorite movies. And here is a CD soundtrack with David Bowie in his role as a Goblin King. And this is Jim Henson's fantasy film that was released in 1986 with Jennifer Connelly. And David Bowie actually had 6 songs in this movie, in addition to the original music by Trevor Jones. Great soundtrack, great movie. loved it. So, Never Let Me Down was Bowie's 17th album, released in 1987, and it was followed by a worldwide Glass Spider tour that I was very fortunate to catch. And at the time, the tour actually had an extremely elaborate set, and it was called the largest touring set ever. And on stage, Bowie was actually joined by guitarist Peter Frampton. So here I have a ticket stub, and I have this concert program. So I saw this concert in Atlanta in September 22nd. Here, just a few pages as I flip through the concert program. Great booklet. It probably wasn't the greatest album of David Bowie, but it was still extremely good. I enjoyed it. Has a few good songs on it that I listen to on a regular basis. And the concert, of course, was amazing. He's a great showman. And what a voice. Just loved it. So here I also have a CD from Disc, issued in 1990. Changes Boy, that is actually is a reissue of the CD from 1976 Greatest Hits album that was called Changes One Boy. And this one actually includes a few extra tracks from 1980s, such as Let's Dance and China Girl. So here's the inside of this CD sleeve. And in 1996, David Bowie was inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, going in chronological order. So here I have another CD called Earthlink in a City. It's actually a 6-track promotional CD that was distributed by GQ magazine, and that was done in November 1997 issue. Disc is largely made up of live performances and remixes of songs drawn from other Bowie albums, Black Tie, White Noise, Outside, Earthlink. There is a Little Wonder that was recorded live, 7 Years in Tibet, The Heart's Filthy Lessons that was also recorded live in New York City. Yeah, just one of those little albums that I have. And again, just continue on the same note. Never tired of reinventing himself, trying new things. Bowie even got into finance and banking by launching his Bowie bonds in 1997. And then in 2000, he actually did a Bowie bank, giving customers international banking services, as well as checks and debit cards with his picture on them. What else? Oh, and then there was a 1999 album, Hours, that was based around music. He had written for a computer game called Omicron, spelled differently than the famous COVID strain. And in that game, Bowie and his wife Iman appeared as the characters actually. So that was his try at video games. Then 2001, if you're fans of comedy, you have to remember his appearance in Ben Stiller's Zoolander. He was playing himself. And continuing on, so next decade was actually a bit slower for David Bowie. He experienced some chest pains in the middle of a tour in 2004. Had to go through some emergency angioplasty procedure to clear a blocked artery. But again, a slower pace was still full of new inventions, new accomplishments. In 2006, he appeared with Pink Floyd's David Gilmour at the Royal Albert Hall, singing the Floyd's classic Arnold Lane and Comfortably Numb. And in February of that same year, he was given a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's see, 2006, he also appeared in as Nikola Tesla in the movie Prestige with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. In 2013, he actually released his first album of new material in over 10 years. That album was called Next Day, and it tops the charts in Britain and around the world, and even reached number 2 in US. So he remained musically active until his death from liver cancer at his home in New York City in 2016. He actually died 2 days after a boss of his 69th birthday, and actually a release of his final album called Black Star. It was his 26th studio album. And following year, David Bowie and album Black Star won 5 Grammys. Album is described as Bowie's swan song and partying gift for all his fans. At that point, all I can say is thank you, David Bowie. We love you, we love your music, we love your talent.